Hello, everybody. My name is Mr. Mike, the parts guy, and I'm here to teach you how to run a parts department. Why am I doing this? Well, I've got 16 years in the automotive industry of experience. I've done sales, I've done service, I've been a parts manager and warranty administrator, parts and service manager, fixed operations director, selling, dispatching, warranty claims, parts to pad reconciliations, parts department management, inventories. I do parts inventories on the weekend. I do about probably between 100 to 150 stores a year. And what I always see is either parts counter people really not being trained on how to run the parts department because maybe the manager thinks that they're going to be expendable, or a manager who was really never trained properly to begin with, and they've been kind of thrown into the lion's den and figured out or tried to figure out how to do their job best they can, but they still make mistakes, and they're too afraid to admit to it to their management, or they're too afraid to ask them to get training. I don't know what the reason is, but those are my general guesses. So I'm going to go over 10 rules of the sort of basis of the foundation of a parts department, on how you should be able to run your parts department. And then afterwards, I'm going to try to make weekly videos, a training video, and then another video. It'll be like a story time video where I'll tell you the stories of my 16 years of automotive experience. Please comment, ask questions, whatever. I'll try to do my best to answer them in videos. But these are my 10 basic rules on how to run a parts department here. In your parts department should be nobody other than parts people or managers. So no techs, no service advisors, no salespeople, whatever. Why? Well, a parts department is a bank. All those things you got on the shelves there, those aren't parts, they're dollar bills. Okay. When's the last time you walked into a bank and some chooch is standing behind the counter, mingling with the bank teller, or going into the vault to walk around and take a look for themselves? Never. Okay. Because those are all dollar bills that have to be protected. You should be doing the same thing, which is why all the doors in the parts department always need to be locked. And, if it's a Saturday and you got to go to the bathroom, you got to go do this, you got to go talk to Santa Claus, whatever you got to do. When you walk out of the parts department, make sure the doors are locked so nobody can get in there and, take stuff or move stuff around or do whatever, because you're responsible for all of the things in that room. Okay. That leads me into no RO, no parts, no exceptions. I learned that early on in my career. Okay. You got a sales guy that runs up and they go, well, Mrs. Jones, she's taking delivery or whatever, and it doesn't have floor mats. I need the floor mats right now. I'll bring you the arrow later. I'll bring you a purchase order later. I'll bring you blah, 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 blah. And then you give them the repair order, and they don't bring you anything later because, they got a phone call, they got another customer, the sales manager's going after them about this, and you got a phone call, and, this happened, that happened. Bugs Bunny walked into the parts room and had cookies with you and whatever. You forget, And when it comes time to do your physical inventory and you're missing 20 sets of floor mats, you're sitting there going, holy shit, I'm out $5,000 because I handed this out and I forgot and whatever. And the buck stops with you, not with the sales guy that forgot to bring you the PO. No RO, no parts, no exceptions. Now, if it's not a stock item, so if it's a non-stock item, make sure it's prepaid, non-returnable. Okay, disclose that to the customer when they're buying the part, because what you don't want to have happen is somebody come in and buy a hood deflector for a 2003 Liberty, and they never show up to pick it up, and the part's non-returnable. What the hell are you going to do with it? Who else is going to come in and buy a hood deflector for an 03 Liberty? Nobody, whatever that part may be. And on your regular parts that are in stock, make rules that if it's open, you don't take it back. If it's after 7 days, you don't take it back. If it's electrical, you don't take it back at all. Protect your inventory, because when all that stuff turns into aged inventory, that's your responsibility. They're going to come after you. Not the guy who bought the hood deflector or ordered a hood deflector for an 03 Liberty and never came to get it. So make sure all non-stock parts, prepaid, non-returnable. Now that leads me into genuine inventory. Okay? When we walk into stores and we see these giant cases of thousands of air filters and clips and zip ties, and the shipping tags on them are from this supply, that supply from the Great Lakes, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Pole, whatever. Okay? We know where that comes from. We know how you get it. There's no hiding that. That's from the guys that call you 10 times a day and offer you, $1,000 gift cards, iPads, iPhones, guns, knives to take on this crap inventory. And you know you're doing the wrong thing because you're getting bribed to do it. Okay? So don't get involved. The factory will come in and they will come down on you like a hammer if they find out you're selling that crap under the OEM part numbers. And a lot of places do that. And they get in a big trouble. So don't get involved. Buy the OEM part, sell the OEM part. Now, that doesn't mean you can't go out and get a part from AutoZone, AutoPart, Napa, whatever. You need a part that day. The customer can't spend the money on the OEM part. That's fine. But don't ever try to pass off a fake part as a genuine one. And if you're watching this and you're a general manager, a dealer principal, whatever, get together with your parts guy and your accounting team and say, this is a list of approved vendors. AutoZone, Napa, Advanced, API, whatever, CPI, whoever the hell sells parts, as a brick and mortar parts store that's around your dealership. That's an approved vendor. Everybody else out. Tell the accounting people to not cut checks to anybody outside of that list of approved, genuine vendors. You need to use Worth, you need to use Grainger. Those are genuine companies. Set them up as one of your approved vendors. That way, when, if one of your parts counter guys answers the phone and okays 5,000 clips to show up there, and they tell you, hey, I got it for $4 a clip less than the factory. They got it because they got an iPad, they got a this, they got a that, they got bribed to do it. And your parts manager may be doing the same thing. So make sure you've got a list of approved vendors. Anyone outside of it, do not cut the checks to. Now, that leads me into monthly parts and pad reconciliations. What is that? Well, your accounting department has a general ledger balance, a dollar figure for all the parts, all the work in process, all the cores, everything that you've got going on down there. What you should be doing is every month going up there and comparing their number to your number. Okay, you do this every month, and say you're off $100 in January, $800 in February, and then all of a sudden in March you're off 10 grand. You know that month there was a problem. And you can go back and trace down exactly where it happened, comparing invoices to entries and whatever. And again, I'll make a in-depth video of that. But if you don't do those monthly parts to pad recs, what happens is once you do end up doing your physical inventory and you're off $80,000 or something, some ridiculous number, you can't trace down what month it happened in, or it's going to take you way longer to trace down where it happened, how it happened, why it happened, and what you're going to do to prevent it from happening again. There's so many inventories that we do that, at the end of the inventory, it's off this amount of dollars, it's off that amount of dollars. But what's really happening is, you lost 30 grand and you gained 40 grand. And now you're up $10,000, but what's really happened is you lost 2 Focuses and you found an Explorer. Yes, financially there's an upside, but it's still wrong because you fucking lost something and you found something that's totally different. And when you're doing your monthly parts to pad recs, when it becomes off, it's easier to trace down what caused it. And I'll make an in-depth video of the parts to pad recs. And that leads me into inventories. If you are a manager going into a new department, okay, you need to push the ownership of the general managers to do a new physical inventory because you don't know what the last person did. You don't know if they were pissed off and they fucked something up on purpose, or maybe they just never kept track of their department and the department's a mess. And they could tell you, well, we just had one 8 months ago. It doesn't matter. Redo it. You don't know what the last person did. They left for a reason. Either they fired, quit, whatever. Okay? That way you start with a new, fresh inventory, and it's your responsibility going forward, but it's clean. And then do one yearly, because when you don't do one yearly, and you do an inventory after 5 years and it's off $200,000, and I've had that happen. I've had that happen with stores I've done. Trying to find out where it went wrong is a lot harder when you're not doing a monthly parts to pad rec. That leads me into don't ever remove cores if you don't have them back. Okay. Well, let me rephrase that. I mean, there might be some instances, but for the most part, never do that. If a service advisor calls you up and it's like, well, Mrs. Jones is here to pick up a car, and the core is still in the repair order. Well, guess what? That's because the service advisor didn't review the RO before they printed it. So that's on them. You did your job. If you don't have the core back, don't take it off. Tell the advisor to go get the core from the technician, bring it to you, and then you'll take it off. Or you go out and get it from the technician and then take it off. But make sure you've got that dollar value in your hands. You're responsible for that. There's so many times where they take it off, they forget all about it because they get sidetracked with phone calls, this, that, the other, whatever. And then comes time to do a physical inventory and you're off $20,000 in your dirty cores and you're sitting there going, oh, geez, I wonder what the hell happened here. Well, that's because you removed 50 of them for Joe Schmo because, every customer came to pick up their car and the service advisor never reviewed the RO when they printed it. So don't get caught in that. Always protect yourself in the parts department. And that leads me into, the other thing you can do, I mean, if you really have a situation where you need to take it off, take the core off, but put it on a shop ticket, put it on a parts invoice for the shop, plaster the thing in front of your face so that you always remember about it until you go find the core. Okay, and then you can reverse that, make a credit, whatever. But that leads me into warranty parts. Same thing. Somebody tells you, sign this repair order that the part's been returned, I'll give it back to you later. Don't do it. Because, again, you get sidetracked, that person gets sidetracked, you both forget about it, you're out the money. You're responsible. When they call that warranty part back and you go into that parts room and you ain't got it and the service manager pulls that RO out and goes, here, you signed it, you got the part, your responsibility. Don't put yourself in that situation. Don't sign it. You ain't got the part, don't take on the responsibility. So, those are my basics, okay? I'm going to make these videos, like I said, I'm going to try to make one once a week. Okay, I'm going to go in depth on cores, on parts to pad reconciliations, and how this works, how that works, so that you guys can learn how to run a parts department, how to become a parts manager, how to become a parts director, okay? I'm sure you don't want to be a parts counter person for the next 30 years of your life. You might want to make more than what you're making. You want to move up, right? Well, these videos are going to help you with that. If you have any questions, please comment them below. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, hit the thumbs, do whatever the hell they do nowadays. I have no idea. Okay. And I'll try to make these weekly. Thank you very much. Have a good one.